ALD, presenting online how to put more show in your business.
I will give one free book to the best listener in the room today. Fellow Toastmasters, I know we learned how to use our bodies to communicate our message. Right? You have facial expressions, animated gestures. You have the ability to actually move on the stage and have proximity with your audience. Really connect with them. You can look in their eyes, pick the person you want to look in their eyes and make a connection. So what do you do when most of this is taken away from you and you're forced to sit down and use about this much of your face? This is what online meetings does to us. It puts us in a box. And it's challenging for a lot of people to still reach out and grab their audience when you're stuck in that little box. So today I'm going to give you some tried and true tips and techniques and a lot of alliteration on how to make the most of this medium. Because you know what? It's not going away, is it? The travel budgets have been slashed. No, you can't fly to Kansas. You have to do the meeting online. You're shaking your head, right? There are three different types of online meetings or presentations I'm talking about today. The first, oh wait, you're actually taking notes? Oh great, well you know if you could, on that first page, could you draw a little box in the upper right hand corner where it says the difference between online and face-to-face? Yeah. And now draw a little picture of me in that box. If you could. Just a little. I will be checking your homework near the end. Just to remind you that even though you're in that box, you still have the ability to communicate and be powerful. And you don't have to relax, get lazy, or not use your Toastmaster skills. So that's our point today. In the next 40 or so minutes, we'll go 45 minutes, I'm going to try to show you what I've learned in all these years. So, starting with conference calls. This is the classic audio phone conference call, right? The first type of online meeting. How many of you have participated in a conference call? Everybody, I would imagine. Aren't they wonderful? Everybody talking over each other. You're not sure who's talking at any given time. But wait, you don't know who's showing up late. You don't know who's in the room. You don't know who's listening. That's a creepy feeling, isn't it? Surveillance is a creepy feeling. I want to know who's in the room, who's looking at me. So conference calls are very, very challenging. In fact, it's the closest thing to a radio show. You can imagine. Right? You're not speaking. You're not standing and delivering anything. You're doing a radio show where your voice has to do everything. Everything. That's the most challenging. And then along comes WebEx and GoToMeeting and other online web conference tools. How many of you have been in a WebEx or a GoToMeeting session? Good. Good, good. So what that added to the mix was the ability to see a list of who was checked in. Oh, look, Joey's here. Oh, good. Good, because I was wondering if she's going to show up on time. Oh, there's Gary. I'm going to chat to Gary, right? It's kind of like in class we used to pass notes under the table and kick people. You can do that. I call that the sub-meeting. There's always a meeting, and then there's this sub-meeting going on. And you can't stop it. I'm sorry. You can lock up the computer, you can say, put down your laptops, and I'll just pull out my iPad or my phone or something else. Everybody has an average of 2.5 devices these days. The average college worker. Now, my 0.5 device doesn't work that well. So, with web conferencing, we had the ability to see who's in the meeting. And some visuals. Thank you. At least something to look at, not just my ear trying to figure out what's going on. And people started sharing slides. Sometimes the slides are eye charts, right? Here's the spreadsheet for the budget for this board. But it's important, right? Everybody focuses on the content and it doesn't really matter about the video. But it's nice to have that little window in the upper right where you can see, oh look, there's a person there. It's not just Joey's name on the list. I can see Joey. Hi, Joey. Hi. How are you? It adds a little bit of social connectedness that we were missing with the audio conference call. You get some sense of the person. Oh, look, he's a snappy dresser. He's a snappy dresser. Rick is a relaxed dresser. And that tells me something about him as well. I love Rick. I thought.
They all look different.
And then we have the advent of the full video conference. Okay. Telepresence. Big HD monitors. You walk into a room, and there's a monitor this big, and this big, and this big, and you're sitting there in front of it, and you swear you're in the same room. How many of you have been one of those magic things? Every week. And it is magical. You feel like you're in the same room.
We're doing Minnesota, Canada, and California, and you can't tell the difference. Because you can't see them on stage anyway.
Hallelujah. See, you're doing my job for me here.
Yeah.
That's right. And Cisco's not the only provider of this. By the way, I'm not representing Cisco here today. I do work for Cisco, full disclosure. We own WebEx, all of that. Just to show you how much the times have changed. Every single meeting that I'm in has a WebEx attached to it. Even if I'm in the room with 8 people around a conference room table, we all have our laptops open and a WebEx is going on. Gary, you would ask me, why is that?
Why is that?
Thank you for asking. Because the projector in the room doesn't work half the time. I can't see with my old eyes. I can see the slides better right here in front of me. I can see that special list, or I can kick Joe into the table and pass her a love note. All that stuff is valuable to me during the meeting, so I'm going to use it. And people use it in high-tech discussion. As I can see from the raise of hands here. Pardon?
I don't know what WebEx is.
Minda doesn't know what WebEx is. WebEx is an application you open on your computer, you click a button, pops open, and shows you a slide that I'm showing somewhere in another part of the world on your computer.
No webinar?
You see a list of who's logged in, you call on your phone, you hear the audio, and you see a little video of me. Right? So you get that experience on your computer. It's not quite like being there, but you're remote, I'm remote, and it allows us to come together. That's why this has happened. It's being driven financially. So with the high-def video now, that's also a nice thing, right? You walk into the room, this big, beautiful room, and oh, there's the team from Tokyo, and the team from Australia. But it still puts you in a box. It makes you sit down. Do you all know what happens to you? Do you ever present in your Toastmaster meeting sitting down?
Never.
Right, what does it do to you?
Energy.
Lowers the energy.
Energy drops. What else?
Closes off your diaphragm.
Yes, your airflow is not. You ever noticed when you see performing artists, recording artists in the studio, where's the microphone? Up here. Throat is elongated, vocal cords stretched out, lots of airflow. You have your best performance when you're like this. Or like this. And if you're already bored to tears from the executive presenter, it's even worse when it comes to your time to talk. So, my job today is to help you get out of that box just a little bit, because if you don't, what's the consequence? If you're presenting, you have a 20-minute presentation. If you're not dynamic, what happens?
Lose your license.
Lose your audience. How do you lose them?
Do their email, they text other people.
Yes, Joey!
They do their proposal.
Multitasking!
Yes.
Joey is boring me, so I will check my email. Right? That is the challenge. And it's so wonderful to have us all working together between Sydney, Tokyo, UK, and Los Angeles, but that's the risk, is that people have the ability to go to all these other things and be distracted. So your job is to bring them in, get the meeting objective done, and move on, which we'll get to in just a minute. So let's start with some of the things that will help. Because we don't want to put our audience into a coma. We want to look our best. And this is why I started with this. Because I am amazed. We have the technology now. Put a camera on every single desk. Whether you have it on a webcam on your monitor, or it's built into your laptop, or it's on your phone, or your iPad. Everyone has a camera, right? Yeah. But if all of us were in an online meeting right now, statistics show that at least half of you would do what? Turn your camera off. And tell me why you would turn your camera off.
So they can't see me multitasking.
Ta-da! You people are so smart. Were you in my survey? Yeah. That's exactly it. People can hide, so they do hide. Now, is there anything wrong with that? In some meetings, you can have kind of partial attention, listening in, maybe wait for your name to be called, and then, take it off mute. Or you could focus, be part of the meeting, try to get the meeting over sooner, and use that to your advantage. So, people turn their cameras off. And I did do a survey within WebEx to figure out why they do that. So, being caught multitasking was, survey says, #1 answer! The Joey family gets a chance to steal. What else? What are some other reasons people turn their cameras off, Rashid? They're in their pajamas. Okay, I'll put that in the category of self-conscious about their appearance. What is slightly different, though? Self-conscious about your appearance would be, I'm having a bad hair day, I just came from the gym, my hair's in a ponytail, didn't put my makeup on yet, I don't care enough about you, the audience, to actually take a shower and get ready for it. It's really what that's saying if you think about it. So self-conscious about your appearance, you don't think you're up to standards. On the pajama thing, that's on another topic. What's another reason people turn their cameras off?
There's somebody else in the room that you don't want to be seen.
Oh, like your boss's wife. A whole other survey I know you do, man. I think you're onto the right thing. It's the environment around you. You don't want people to see where you are, how messy it is, how inappropriate it is. Maybe you're at Starbucks and your boss has a problem about you working at Starbucks. You don't want them to know. So, whoop, sorry, my camera's not working today.
Maybe you're at Disneyland and you're not supposed to be.
Hallelujah. That's correct. So there's an opposite side of each one of us. Number one, on multitasking. If you hide and turn your camera off, you are sufficiently, preventing anyone from seeing you multitask. But if you turn your camera on, what are you doing?
Showing you your involved.
Yes, you're showing that you care, building trust and rapport. You say, hey boss, look, I'm not multitasking. What you're saying is the most important thing to me right now. So think about that if you want to use it that way. On your appearance, maybe you're self-conscious about the way you look that particular day. It's just a bad hair day. I have one just about every other day. But if you get dressed up, take a shower, show up as if you're showing up for work, what does it say? Professional. I respect you guys. I'm here to work. Okay? The third thing, the environment. Same thing. If you turn your camera on and your environment looks good, you're showing professionalism. You're showing that you care. The fourth thing was kind of unusual. I picked it out from the survey. I was very surprised by this. Anybody else? Any other reasons why you think people turn their cameras off? We hinted at it at the beginning.
Technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties. Okay, that's not deliberately turning it off. That's having an accidental breakdown.
But some people have a fear of Big Brother's watching.
Oh, you said it right on. She said a fear of Big Brother watching. Okay, now I challenged people that said that. I said, okay, so you can sit here in this room together. We look around the conference table at each other, making eye contact. How is that different when it's on a camera?
It's crazy that some people feel well, someone's keeping track of this and the government's watching it. Recorded.
It's the creepy factor. It's the creepy factor of surveillance. Because in a WebEx, and I drilled in on this question in the survey, I said, why is it again you feel uncomfortable? Well, I can only see one person at a time, and I don't know who else is looking at me. All right? So here in this room right now, I can see that Joey's giving me the evil eye in my peripheral vision. But in a WebEx, I'm just focused on Jeffrey. And when somebody else talks, whoop, Jeffrey goes away, Susan starts to talk. I can see Susan. But oh my God, is Jeffrey upset? What's he doing? Is he sleeping? Is he angry? Right? So you lose a little bit of control. That's the word people kept saying. I don't feel like I'm in control of what's happening, where my image is going, and who's looking at me. So now I'm going to give you the opposite of that. I'm telling you, you can have the most control you've ever had if you turn your camera on. Why is that? Because in this room right now, I would love to make eye contact with every single one of you. And if I did that, it would take the entire 45 minutes because I've got to go through. I'm going to look at everything. When you turn your camera on and you look straight into that lens, and you'll see this when I post this on YouTube, I'm making eye contact with every single one of you right now. And that's a powerful thing. If you see celebrities newscasters, people that are good at that. Those ones just like, wow, they're so connected to me because they're looking straight into a little black hole about this big and treating it like their best friend. Right? Here's another quick tip for you. If you're unnerved by cameras, take a little picture of your best friend and tape it on top of the camera lens. No kidding. I saw someone in sales that did it. She goes, I wanted to warm myself up. I took my BFF, I put her picture up above the little camera, and every time I look at it, I just kind of smile, and it just warms me up. The people on the other side don't know that she can see that. Quick little tip. So let's go into just a few things that you can do now to arrange your environment to help with these things. How am I doing on the, for all the OCD folks? Am I doing okay? Yeah? All right. Create your own personal studio. There are three things that will make you look your best. Number one is the camera. Obviously, it's camera placement. Where is the built-in camera in most laptops and iPads?
The top of the monitor.
So when you are sitting at your desk like this, with your laptop like this, what angle is the camera usually? Exactly. It looks something like this. Y'all see that?
Yeah.
Now, I'm pretty proud of my ability to produce nose hair, but it's really not the most flattering. If there's some way that you can get your camera angle facing you directly, just raise it up 4 to 6 inches. Put your laptop on a couple of phone books would do it. Or, if you have an external camera, put it on a little tripod, raise it up above so it's right at eye level. Okay, so what that does, it gives you this image. I do it. See, it's kind of a comfortable thing you would see a newscaster or something. Look at TV and how they frame people that are talking on TV, and do the same for you. Now, you also have the extreme, the selfie approach. You put your camera like this. May help smooth out some of the little chin rolls, but it's kind of unnatural. I see people do that to put the camera way up high on a shelf, looking down on them. It just, again, creepy. Right about here. So one other quick thing to say, that when you have your camera at eye level and you're sitting down, you've also seen newscasters do this thing where they dress really nice on top and they're wearing like Bermuda shorts on the bottom. So if that's the day that you choose to wear your SpongeBob boxer shorts, don't stand up. There are some true stories about WebEx sales guys that I'm going to leave completely to your imagination. Lighting. Lighting is the key to good video. If you talk to anyone who's created movies, music videos, wedding videos, light is everything. It gives the camera something to work with. And what kind of lighting do we have in most offices? The worst. Harsh fluorescent lighting straight down, right above you, just like these up in here, these recessed lighting. What does that create on your face?
Shadows.
Yes, shadows here, triangular shadow here, and depending on where you're at underneath that light, it's just ugly, and it's not the right color. So what I do, this is my format. You can go invest, if you Google online personal lighting kit, you can find things that will help you look beautiful. Double lights, top light, filters, diffusers. Or just take a little halogen desk lamp like this, and take a piece of tracing paper or thin paper, tape it on the front, make sure it's not touching so you don't start a fire in your house. But this creates a nice diffused light. And put it about 1.5 feet from your face, and look at the difference. It's amazing. I've got 2 of them in my office, one on either side, and I have the natural window light, and I'm just kind of lit from all around. It just helps give the camera something, and it softens out all the wrinkles and things. Lighting, very, very important. Don't sit in front of a window just so you can show off your view of the Golden Gate Bridge. Right? Any window light from behind you is going to make you look like the Godfather in dark silhouette. We don't want that. Background. This is an interesting one too. Most rooms where people work, how many of you work in a cubicle? Right? You all have that same kind of, yeah, this color. Kind of flat, textureless, blah background. And it's not something you can even light well. You drive a video guy crazy. Try to sit in a place where you have some depth. shelving units, libraries, books, those kind of things. Help separate you from the background. It gives the camera more to work with, and also creates a silhouette or a shape around your face and your hair. I had a sales guy that I talked to at WebEx. He says, I do one thing with my camera. I place my autographed Reggie Jackson baseball. He has it in those little acrylic cases, puts it right in front of him on his desk. And whenever he starts a WebEx sales call, every single time the customer says, hey, who signed your baseball? Conversation starter, icebreaker. So I took that a step farther and I set up shelves behind me in my home office. You'll see this on the WebEx I'm going to do on Wednesday. By the way, you're all invited. 12 noon, lunch and learn, this coming Wednesday. I'm going to start a WebEx. If you leave your email address over here, I'll send you an invitation. Everybody join on. I'll give you a guided tour through this stuff that I'm talking about. And you'll see that behind me I have shelves with a bunch of interesting stuff. I have a copy of my book. I have an Iron Man poster. I have a package of Hostess Twinkies that I got from Table Topics and Toastmasters. Don't ask. And a few different things that people ask about. The lava lamp. Just goofy things, a little bonsai tree. It's made out of plastic. So these things help provide conversation starters. All right, enough about the environment. You've created your personal studio. Now let's talk about, audio. Just spend the money. Get a good one. A Bluetooth headset. If yours doesn't work, it's making you sound terrible. You don't want your batteries to go out. You want a good noise canceling headphone. I won't tell you which one to buy, but Plantronics is a great company. They have one for every pocketbook.
Yeah.
But this makes such a difference. Now, you may not know this, but Mark Holtz, right over here, is a WebEx expert, far beyond my ability. He and I both worked for WebEx for a long time. He actually serves enterprise companies and them deploying WebEx out to all their employees. So tell me, what do you think is the number one issue they have in usability issues?
When they use their laptop, microphones, and speakers on a voice over IP session.
Yes. Because what happens is you're trying to stream this audio and it's cutting in and out, and there's nothing more disconcerting to the audience than the audio breaking up. They can actually forgive more video problems, but when the audio breaks up, it's like, I can't go on. What did he say? I missed what he said. Oh, he's a little fuzzy for a second. That's okay. What did he say? So make sure your audio is rock solid. All right, we are cruising. Let's talk about sounding your best. That's a great segue. As we said before, this is kind of like forcing you into doing a radio show, right? You're a Shakespearean actor at Toastmasters, but you're on your online call, and you're like sitting down, and you're in this little box. So you've got to do everything with your voice. Everything. So how many of you listen to radio shows in the morning when you're driving to work? Morning Zoo, talk shows, right? What do they have in common?
Energy.
Inanity, craziness, yes, energy. What else?
Fun.
Fun. Energetic environment. What else?
They know their topic.
Pardon?
They know their topic.
They know their topic. They have experts that know exactly what they're talking about. How about the Morning Zoo, the crazy, Rick Dees, Bob and Tom kind of shows? What do they all have?
Laughter.
Laughter. I'm looking for something very specific.
Fun.
Conversation. She's getting at it. What they have is a variety of voices. Why do they have 4 or 5 people on a radio show when they can do it with 2? Why spend the money? It's because to the train here, to the audiences here, we're all used to hearing things in little bitty sound bites now. We all have this ADD that's created from social media. You need variety. You can't track with one person for too long. In fact, I've been talking too long here for the last 10 minutes. That's why I'm asking you for input. No matter how good your voice is, Gary, listening to you for an hour is not as good as listening to you talk to Joey for an hour. Right? It's a conversation, a dialogue, a male and a female voice. Just that variety gives my ear something, ear candy. Good, something different. Right? You ever been to a rock concert? How often do they change the lights on the stage at a rock concert? Every 3 seconds, change. So think about that. It's just for eye variety. So for ear variety, do the same thing. So how do I do that, Mr. David? When I'm the only one talking on this thing? Well, one way to do that is to bring in experts. I know you could do the whole show yourself. You know this. But why not bring Judy from your team and give her 10 minutes of your presentation, right? Just to have a variety of voices, literally. And Judy gets a chance to step up and do her thing too. It helps the audience track along with it. Something else that happens in the sub-meeting, right? We all have our instant messaging, our texting, this other little passing of notes around. Embrace that. Bring experts, I call them silent panelists, whose job is just to answer text messages. They never speak. Silent panelists. Say, Jeffrey, you're going to be the silent panelist today. I'll tell the audience, okay, while I'm doing my presentation, Jeffrey is standing by, just like on the telephone, right? Over the phone waiting. And Jeffrey's going to answer all of your technical questions, or support questions, or pricing questions. So what I've done is defer to all the usual interrupting, in the weeds kind of questions and push them silently down to Jeffrey. And I continue with my big picture, big vision presentation. Use that to your advantage. Embrace the sub-meeting. How else can you be more like a radio show? Stand up. Nobody says you have to sit down, right? My desk at work goes, you get one of those, stand up, put your computer at eye level, and stand during the entire part of your presentation. Just like you can hear somebody smiling on the phone, you can hear that difference when they're standing when they present. All right, the radio show techniques. Let's talk about dead air dynamics. Okay, what happens at the beginning of every online meeting? How long does it take for everybody to get into the meeting?
A couple minutes.
10 minutes.
10? Okay. Our rule of thumb was 4 minutes it took for everyone to log in. And that's because these meetings are scheduled back to back, right? The last meeting ended at 10. This one starts at 10. When am I going to go to the bathroom, Gary? You don't even have time to walk down the hallway. So instead, what I do with that 4 minutes is I use it to my advantage. It's usually an awkward silence. You know, oh, we're waiting for everybody. Let's wait till Ted gets here. Oh, we can't really start till Mark gets here. Everyone's kind of sitting there twiddling the thumbs, right? You hear the keyboards in the background. Dog barking in the distance. Wasted time. So when I'm running that meeting, what I do is instantly say hello to every single person on the list. There's a list right there. Hi, Judy. How you doing? Hey, how's the weather in Dallas? Hey, David. What's going on? Hey, congratulations on your promotion. Nice. And what happens is a little bit of dialogue, each person, and the other reason for checking and saying hello is sound check. Thank you, Mr. WebEx expert. Hey, Gary, just letting you know your speakerphone's cutting in and out, so you might want to pick up your headset. Right? You just done a sound check, and everybody sounds better to the meeting throughout that. Great idea. I will review the meeting objectives, the agenda, obviously, you know, the things where if you start on time, people will show up on time. If you start 2 minutes late, people will show up 3 minutes late. If you start 10 minutes late, they'll show up 12 minutes late. Come on, we're Toastmasters, right? That gavel goes down at the beginning of the meeting, it starts, and the latecomers feel a little bit of shame when they show up. I shame people with a lot of fun in online meetings too. Say, hey, thanks for coming. You have to ask everybody a trivia question. You know, just a little latecomers report thing I'm doing. It's fun. The first time they're like, oh crap, you called me out. I'll get on time next time. So it's a fun way to do that. Another trainer, this is a great idea, if you do big training groups, while that 4 minutes is going on, she puts up word search puzzles in PowerPoint and crossword puzzles. People use the annotation tool and they start solving the puzzles. Just having fun, just doing something just to pass the time, just having fun. Setting a tone of energy. All right, dead air dynamics. How to be heard when people won't shut up. This is the opposite of dead air dynamics. Sometimes we're in those meetings where the brainstorming is getting really intense, or the problem solving is getting kind of hostile, and you want to say something, and you can't because your voice is competing. People are all just jumping on top of each other. What do?
Mute them.
Mute them? Mute everybody? And now I will talk. I am the dictator. Anybody have a good trick for that? Yes.
At my school, we have a little thing you punch in that raises your hand.
Yes.
That's how you have to do it if you want to speak.
WebEx has a raised hand feature. I know that. Colorado Technical University.
Yeah.
They're one of our customers.
Yeah.
Any other ideas for how to get a word in edgewise? Time out. You're on the right track. This is what I do. If I'm in a room like this and it's face-to-face, I'll just raise my hand. Just raise my hand. Everybody knows in elementary school that raising your hand means that person wants to talk. And the head of the meeting will eventually notice you. It seems really juvenile. I just sit here with my hand up. And finally, someone will say, David, did you want to add something? And then I will ask a question. Do you want to hear my opinion? And then stop again and wait for them to say yes. And every time I do that little bit of drama, the room gets very quiet. God, he's got something to say. Now you better have something to say, Joe. Oh, that's kind of drama. Works every time. Online meetings, it works the same way. Use the text feature on the side. Everyone's talking, blah, 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 blah. You can't get a word in edgewise. Just write on the side. I have an idea. Just wait for the moderator to notice you. David has an idea. And then it gets very quiet, and you present. But you know, when everyone's talking, not usually listening. Awesome. How are we doing on time?
We're doing fine.
We have 20 more minutes?
Yep.
All right. Because I know you're the timer.
I'm doing it fine.
What I want you to do is start waving the red card when you start feeling bored. And I will do something about that. Avoiding the energy killers for online meetings. Okay, the killers. They all start with D. Are you ready? David? No. Number one is dull delivery. Yes, we are all Toastmasters. We know how to use our voices, but when you bring the executive on, the people that I call the non-talent talent, they're very brilliant, they're very smart, but they are monotonous, and they say every other word, and the ums are hypnotic, and everybody's nodding off, and you know they're going into a coma. Oh my God, I can't listen to another word of this, and I'm going to go over and check my email. So what do you do if you're in charge of that meeting? You've got to bring it back to life somehow, right? It's your job. Raise your hand and say, please, stop putting us to sleep. So the dull delivery is something that you obviously won't have as Toastmasters, but you may have other panelists who do. Distractions, the dog barking, the baby crying, the other noises. People going on and off mute is another really annoying kind of thing that causes a delay. That's number 3. Dull delivery, distractions, and delays. I was talking to someone who works for Macy's, and she said she sits on these meetings with like 100 people attending. And it's the big quarterly HR meeting. Okay, well now that we've presented, the quarterly results, let's hear from Judy in Minnesota. Judy, are you there? Judy? Does anybody know Judy logged in? Judy?
I had you on mute.
Judy suddenly pops up and oh my God, I was saying brilliant things and I was on mute. Or Judy didn't show up at all. And you didn't prepare really to know if she was there or not. Those kind of delays just kill the whole energy. All right, so let's talk about how to overcome these things. Oh, multitasking. As a speaker, I hear this all the time. People who are presenting and actually, you can tell when they start drifting into their own instant messaging, literally in the middle of a sentence. Like, hold on a second. I thought you were talking to us. This is what we've become, right? Our attention is so divided, it's hard to, even when you're in charge, be in charge. Okay, we're going to go rapid fire through these 11 things that I think will help you overcome, keep the energy, keep the focus of your meeting. It's not just about business. You have to put a little show into the business. Number 1, it's prepare. I think that's obvious. Like how many times you've been to the meeting where the boss is just winging it. Hey, it's the monthly staff meeting. I know, I didn't really prepare. Like, good, then just let us go. Right? It's a waste of time, and time is the most precious commodity. Second is early check-in and rehearsal. If you have panelists, you think those guys in a radio show just show up right at 9 o'clock and start talking? No, they come in, they get the makeup done, they test their voice, test all the equipment, test the buttons. We've done WebEx webinars where it's 30 minutes before. I require anybody who's speaking to show up 30 minutes before. Because you know all the things that happen. Their phone doesn't work, wrong location. I did once a webinar where I get to interview Bear Grylls. Y'all know who he is? The Survivor guy? So we were doing a celebrity interview, but he was on an island off of Scotland. And he's going to dial into WebEx through a satellite phone uplink.
Latency.
Yeah, latency. I'm like, whoa. So we all dialed in an hour before, just to make sure everything was good. We could hear him. There was issues we had to resolve. We had to change some things. Because I had 1,000 people showing up, right? And if you treat a meeting with that same kind of respect, if you have 10 people showing up, Be ready. Have everybody logged in, ready, and have their equipment working. Make a promise. I love this one. I had a boss that did this one. I promise in this meeting, that if we get our objective done early, I'm going to let you go. So stay with me, folks. If you can put the distractions aside, track with me, let's do this together. It's like, wow, that's a time. You're going to give me back 20 minutes? That's an incredible feeling. So if you're clear about the objective and what the roles are. I was at another meeting once where she said, okay, here's what we're doing today. The objective is to make sure that this event is going to have these components and the budget is solid. And there were like 30 people on this website. She said, anybody here who does not have a stake in this can go ahead and log out. I was like, wow, exactly. But what is she doing? She's showing respect to the audience. Respect, yeah, respect for your time. And your frustration. And it gets rid of distractions. Exactly. Very good point. So make a promise to people of what they're going to do. Time is the most precious commodity. Rules of engagement, this is like what people do on the radio when they not only tell you what's happening, but what's going to happen. You know, if you're running an event or something. Okay, for the next 10 minutes, we're going to have this, and then stay with us, because we're going to have Gary Pettigrew telling jokes. Right? But what I just did, that's called a tease. And I'm teasing, I'm promoting the fact that Gary's coming, because I know this next 10 minutes is going to be pretty dry. Right? And now, finance will come up and do their thing, but then marketing's coming. I'm sorry, any finance people I just did? They're always the most lovely people. Yeah, right here, Judy, you're in finance? Okay, another husband. Sorry about that. So the rules of engagement are just kind of letting you know when you want them to ask questions. At the beginning of the session today, I didn't say you could ask questions, so I've been asking you questions throughout. I said we'd have a 10-minute period at the end. Here's a great trick for online meetings. While you're presenting, keep reminding your audience, hey, if anything I say today strikes a chord with or creates a question, go ahead and write it down, put it in the chat. Go ahead and cue it up, right? And then you start seeing little text questions pop up while you're talking on the right. So what did that give you the opportunity to do? Pick the best questions. Yeah, I'm going to pick the high-level questions. I'm going to let Jeffrey, my silent panelist, answer the one about pricing, because I am not going to talk about that publicly. Right? You have a chance to get those questions that helps you sort the information and make sure you attribute that to the person. Linda asked an excellent question in the chat. Just to remind you all, you can ask questions over there too. So I'm going to answer Linda's question. Right? So you're telling them kind of what they can do and reinforcing that kind of behavior. Great, great trick. Keep the meeting heart beating. Toastmasters meetings are typically run pretty well because we focus on it. In business, anybody? Yeah, not really great meetings, kind of like tolerable meetings, right? From the time the meeting starts, I think you should imagine this heartbeat, right? There's this energy, this kind of flow. Just like we do graceful transitions to the front of the room, you never run away until the next person has come up to take over. In a WebEx meeting, when you pass the ball, I'm going to pass the ball to Mark now. He's going to demonstrate the latest features in the new WebEx. So while Mark is, and I move the ball, he's getting ready, he's opening his presentation, there's another 15 seconds there. So I just sit there and wait for Mark. Oh my. And let me tell you something really great about Mark while he's getting that ready. Mark has been with WebEx for 10 years. He's one of the ace support people, so you're really going to enjoy his demo. Mark, you ready? Boom. So what I did there is I prayed to Mark, I kept the heartbeat going, you kept that energy level. Little dead air gaps and drops are what kill the energy of a meeting. It's your job to keep it going. And when you get that boring executive, and he's done, and you know everyone's in a coma, your job is to clear, right? Do something. Something different. Okay, phone break. 5 minutes, go to the bathroom, check your phones, and come back. Anything to get people back alive after that. We talked about embracing the sub-meeting already. Use stories to bring content to life. This is another thing that you can do if you want to bring more voices into it. Is not just tell your own stories, but plan ahead to ask the audience to share their examples. You know it's a great way. here today. I'm going to ask this at the end of the session. Anybody else share an example of a meeting where you had this happen to you? When you do it online, it's especially important because people are drifting. They're drifting within 20 minutes. Don't kid yourself. I mean, I schedule meetings now for 30 minutes and no longer. I never schedule hour-long meetings because I know it's just too much. I'm sorry, it's too much going on. The attention spans are too short. So I'd rather have 2 30-minute meetings than 1 hour-long meeting. And I'll exponentially get more done. So think about that when you carve out your day. And plan 30 minutes in between. That one you do in between is the time to process the information, send your emails, do your follow-ups, and all of that. So schedule personal time between meetings, 30 minutes, and try see what that does to your day.
Especially when you're recording the meeting for later playback.
Okay, Mark touched on something very important. He said you can record the meeting. How many of you have your meetings recorded? Raise your hand if you've done a meeting. Why are they recorded?
So that the entire company can hear this information, but they don't have to go through it with everyone all at the same time.
Okay, how many people do you think actually watch that recording from beginning to end? Yeah, it's a good question to ask, and you can actually see the statistics in there. It's very low, very low. People would rather get a summary. They don't want, in fact, watching a 1-hour recording is 10 times as excruciating as sitting through the 1 hour. Why is that? You're not really participating. It's like, bored, go get something to drink. It's just too hard, and you don't have a chance to ask questions. So what I do with recordings, you get a recording at the end of all these online meetings, I'll send it out, I give a timestamp. Please fast forward to 21:23 and listen to Mark talk about the new features. I just did you a huge favor, right? I saved you 20 minutes of sitting there, watching the meeting, waiting for something relevant to shop. Help your audience, make it relevant, bring them to smaller chunks. No death by PowerPoint, we know this. Use big pictures. Collins, in the session just before, did a great job. He had humorous photos. That was his support to his verbal presentation. Now, sometimes you have to show the spreadsheet and all that, but keep your graphics simple. Don't give people a lot to read. If you give them a lot to read, they will not listen to you, and they can read faster than they can listen to you. Everybody catch that? People read faster than you can talk. So if you put the reading in front of them, what do? They race ahead of you every single time. So give them just the big bullet points, and you fill in the details if you want them to listen. Listen up and have some fun. I think this is obvious. Ask online participants to chime in. Here's another quick tip. Never ask the group, okay, what do you think? Because they'll all sit there like, well, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to take a risk. I don't want to risk saying something dumb. So instead of, what do you all think? It's like, Susan, what do you think? Kay, what do you think? And go right down the list. And people will know, oh my gosh, he's coming to me. I better come up with something, right? And if you start your meetings with this behavior, you'll have a lot more attention throughout. Any college professors here? High school teachers?
No, but that's how my professor did it.
Exactly.
He was the best professor.
That's a teacher trick. We know that. The threat of the pop quiz, right? At any time, you could be called up. So, Rashid, what did I just say 10 minutes ago?
Just 10 minutes ago? I'm going to have to replay that.
See, you all saw me go into attack mode on Rashid, like, oh no, is he going to ask me a question like that? And suddenly Gary's on the edge of the seat. I can see it right now. All right. Those are the quickies. Who has an example to share of a meeting where something like this happened and you overcame it because of your Toastmaster background? That's for volunteers, and I'm going to start naming names. Yes?
I have one. I conducted a GoToMeeting.
Can you stand up, please?
I conducted a GoToMeeting, and the person who was the leader before, she would open up the meeting and say, okay, introduce yourself, and then everyone was talking all over themselves.
Yes.
But I became the chairperson,